Somewhere on a tropical shoreline right now, a shell is lying half buried in wet sand. It's cone-shaped, glossy, patterned like something painted by hand. A tourist spots it, picks it up, turns it over in their palm. For a few seconds, nothing happens at all. Then a fine, needle-thin tube slides out from inside the shell and grazes skin. Within a minute, that person can lose the ability to move their own lungs. This animal crawls slower than the minute hand on a clock, and it just launched an attack faster than a bullet leaving a gun. How does something that slow build something that fast? Stick around, because the answer rewrites what evolution can do when speed simply isn't an option. This is the cone snail, and it might be the most quietly dangerous predator in the ocean. Start with the numbers because they barely make sense side by side. A cone snail moves across the sand at around 0.05 kilometers an hour. That's slower than the tip of a minute hand sweeping across a clock face. But when it strikes, the entire attack is over in under 100 microseconds. That's roughly 3,000 times faster than you can blink. The harpoon accelerates at more than 400,000 meters per second squared, comparable to a bullet fired from a handgun. Here's how it works. The snail lies buried, sensing the water with a chemical detector called an osphodium, waiting for the signature of a passing fish. A soft tube called a proboscis extends slowly, almost lazily toward the target. Inside it sits a single hollow tooth, barbed like a fishhook and sharp as a hypodermic needle, held in place by a cellular latch. Behind that tooth, a muscular pump builds pressure, the way you'd load a spear gun. The instant the tip touches the fish, the latch releases. And that stored pressure fires the tooth like a harpoon straight into the target. One moment, the fish is swimming. A fraction of a millisecond later, it's tethered to a predator that hasn't taken a single step. The harpoon is just the delivery system. What happens next is where this gets strange. Biochemist Baldomero Oliveira spent decades studying what actually rides inside that tooth, and he found something closer to a military operation than a poison. He calls the toxin groups cabals because they arrive in coordinated waves, each with a different job. The first wave is called the lightning strike cabal. It combines two toxins that jam the fish's nerve channels wide open, so its cells can't reset. The result is instant, rigid paralysis, almost identical to what happens when someone is hit with a police taser. The fish freezes mid-swim, fins locked, unable to thrash or tear the snail's fragile proboscis before the snail can reel it in. Even more strange, this isn't a one-time weapon. Inside the snail is something like an internal quiver, continuously growing fresh harpoon teeth in different stages of readiness. Miss the strike, and the tooth gets discarded. Land it, and the harpoon gets swallowed along with the fish, ready to be replaced before the next hunt. And here's where it gets even stranger. Some cone snails don't even bother with a direct hit. Species like Conus geographus and Conus tulipa release a cloud of toxin straight into open water, aimed at an entire school of fish at once. The active ingredient is a modified form of insulin, unusually small and fast-acting. As the fish breathe it in through their gills, their blood sugar collapses within moments. They drift into a kind of chemical stupor, calm, sluggish, unaware they're in danger. The snail then unfurls a huge, funnel-like mouth and simply engulfs them, sometimes several at once, like a slow-motion net closing over sleeping prey. Cone snails are the only animals known to weaponize insulin this way, which brings us back to that shell on the beach. Piscivorous species like Conus geographus evolved this venom to shut down a fish's nervous system in an instant. A human's nervous system runs on nearly the same wiring. Between 27 and 36 deaths have been confidently linked to cone snail stings, and untreated envenomation from the most dangerous species carries a fatality rate that can climb past 50%. There's no anti-venom. The same weapon built to drop a fish out of the water in microseconds can do almost the same thing to the hand that picked it up. But this is where the story turns. The same precision that makes this venom so lethal also makes it valuable. Every one of those toxins was shaped over 55 million years to hit one exact target and nothing else, with no wasted damage to surrounding tissue. That kind of accuracy is something no lab has ever fully replicated. In 2004, scientists isolated one conotoxin from Conus magus, the magician's cone, and turned it into a drug called Ziconotide. It treats severe chronic pain without touching opioid receptors at all, meaning there's no addiction risk, something morphine can never offer. A creature built to kill in a third of a millisecond is now helping people survive pain that medicine couldn't otherwise reach. And scientists estimate there are somewhere between 50,000 and 100,000 of these conotoxins still out there, spread across more than 700 species, and only a sliver of them have ever been studied. Which means somewhere on a reef right now, half buried in sand, there could be a molecule that treats a disease we haven't solved yet. So, the next time you see something moving impossibly slowly, it might be worth wondering what it's capable of when it finally decides to strike. What else is out there, patiently waiting, that we haven't even thought to look for?